Do you remember those days when meals didn't come in a shiny, store-bought box, and every bite had a story to tell? Back then, our grandparents didn't just cook, they made do, using the simplest ingredients to create warm, comforting dishes that filled the table and nourished the soul. Whether it was a hearty pie baked with love, or a sweet, simple dessert that brought the family together, these 25 cheap British meals became a lifeline during times of hardship. They were more than just food. They were the taste of resilience, resourcefulness, and love. Take a trip down memory lane with me as we rediscover the meals that kept families going through thick and thin. Are you ready to relive those comforting, homemade flavors that will take you straight back to Grandma's kitchen? Let's get started! One of the most beloved cheap meals of the past was Bubble and Squeak. This dish made use of leftover mashed potatoes and cabbage, creating a frugal yet satisfying meal. The combination of the soft, leftover potatoes and cabbage was fried together in a pan, resulting in a crispy golden crust on the outside, while the inside remained soft and creamy. The name Bubble and Squeak came from the sounds the dish made while frying, as the ingredients bubbled and squeaked in the hot pan. Often served with a dollop of rich gravy, this meal became a family staple during tough times when fresh ingredients were scarce. It was the perfect way to make sure nothing went to waste, and the humble dish remains a comforting classic that's easy to make and endlessly satisfying. Today, Bubble and Squeak continues to be a nostalgic favorite, reminding us of resourcefulness and love in every bite. Toad in the Hole was another classic British dish that helped families stretch their food budgets during harder times. This dish consisted of sausages cooked in a Yorkshire pudding batter, making for a filling and tasty meal that could feed a large family without costing much. The sausages, often the most affordable meat option, were placed in a baking dish, and the batter was poured over them before baking. As it cooked, the batter would rise, forming a fluffy golden crust around the sausages. The result was a delicious combination of crispy golden Yorkshire pudding with juicy sausages inside. Toad in the Hole was traditionally served with gravy and vegetables, making it a hearty and comforting meal. Despite its humble origins, this dish has remained a firm family favorite, offering a satisfying and economical way to enjoy a tasty meal without breaking the bank. Fish and chips may seem like a treat today, but during our grandparents' time, it was an affordable and filling meal. The fish, usually cod or haddock, was battered and deep-fried, creating a crispy golden exterior that contrasted beautifully with the tender fish inside. Served with chunky chips, this dish became a staple for working-class families, often purchased from local fishmongers and chip shops. Fish and chips were particularly popular when the cost of meat was high, offering a cheap yet satisfying alternative. The classic meal was traditionally enjoyed with a sprinkling of salt and a splash of vinegar, adding a tangy kick to the hearty dish. Even today, fish and chips remain a cherished British takeaway, reminding us of simpler times when this filling meal could be enjoyed by all, regardless of budget, and is still a go-to for comfort and nostalgia. Lancashire hot pot was a hearty and filling stew that provided warmth and nourishment with minimal cost. Made with lamb or beef, this slow-cooked dish was designed to stretch a small amount of meat. The meat was simmered with onions, carrots, and potatoes, and then topped with a layer of thinly sliced potatoes, which were browned to a crispy perfection in the oven. The slow cooking process allowed the flavors to meld together, creating a rich and savory broth that made the meal feel indulgent. Lancashire hot pot became a favorite for large families, as it was a budget-friendly way to feed everyone, even during tough economic times. This dish is still a beloved part of British cuisine today, especially in the north, where it originated. Its simplicity and ability to feed a crowd with affordable ingredients make it a timeless classic, perfect for chilly evenings and family gatherings. Potato pie was a simple yet satisfying dish that helped families make the most of leftovers. It consisted of mashed potatoes and sometimes vegetables like leeks or onions, all encased in a short crust pastry shell. The ingredients were inexpensive and easy to find, making it a popular choice during times when money was tight. Potato pie could be served on its own or with gravy to add extra flavor. The humble pie became a go-to meal for families looking for something comforting and filling without the need for expensive ingredients. It was often made in large batches, providing enough food to feed several mouths. Despite its simplicity, potato pie remains a comforting meal that continues to be enjoyed by many today, especially during colder months when a warm, hearty dish is just what's needed to bring everyone together at the table. Corned beef hash was another economical dish that became a staple for many families during hard times. Corned beef, often purchased from a tin, was a cheap source of protein, and it was combined with potatoes, onions, and sometimes carrots to make a filling, savory meal. The corned beef was chopped into small pieces and then fried with the other ingredients, creating a crispy, golden exterior while keeping the inside soft and tender. This dish was incredibly versatile, and families could add whatever vegetables they had on hand, making it an easy way to use up leftovers. Corned beef hash became a comfort food for many, especially during the post-war years, and it continues to be a nostalgic reminder of resourcefulness in the kitchen. It's an easy, satisfying meal that's still loved by many for its simplicity and heartiness. Steak and kidney pie is a quintessential British dish that was born out of the necessity of making the most of cheaper cuts of meat. The kidney, often less expensive than other cuts, was paired with chunks of beef and slow cooked in a rich gravy until the meat was tender and full of flavor. This mixture was then enclosed in a golden, flaky pastry shell, creating a comforting and satisfying pie. Steak and kidney pie became a popular dish for working-class families because it could stretch a small amount of meat to feed a large family. The pie is still considered a British classic and is often served with mashed potatoes and vegetables, making it a well-rounded meal. Despite its humble beginnings, this dish has stood the test of time and remains a beloved comfort food for many. Spaghetti on toast was one of the simplest and cheapest meals that became popular in post-war Britain. A can of spaghetti in tomato sauce was affordable and could be served quickly, making it a great option for busy families or those on a tight budget. The spaghetti was heated and poured over slices of buttered toast, creating a quick yet filling meal that was easy to prepare and didn't require many ingredients. Though it might seem basic today, this meal provided much-needed carbohydrates and nutrients from the tomato sauce, making it a satisfying dish during times when money was tight. It was especially common during the years following World War II, when convenience foods started to gain popularity. Even now, spaghetti on toast holds a nostalgic place in the hearts of many, reminding us of simpler times and the clever use of inexpensive ingredients. Cabbage and bacon was a simple yet filling dish that made the most of inexpensive ingredients. The cabbage, which was cheap and abundant, was chopped and sautéed with crispy, salty bacon, creating a flavorful and hearty combination. Sometimes, potatoes were added to make the dish even more filling. The salty bacon provided the perfect contrast to the mild, slightly bitter cabbage, creating a well-balanced meal. Cabbage and bacon was particularly popular during times when meat was scarce, but it remained an essential part of the British diet. The dish was easy to prepare, and it could stretch a small amount of meat to feed the whole family. Even today, cabbage and bacon remains a comforting meal, with its simplicity making it a go-to choice for busy weeknight dinners or as a way to use up leftover ingredients. Beef stew was a classic dish that made use of tougher cuts of meat, turning them into something rich, hearty, and comforting. The beef was simmered slowly with root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, and onions, allowing the flavors to deepen and the tough meat to become tender. The long cooking time turned the dish into a hearty, filling meal that could feed a large family. Beef stew was particularly popular during colder months, as the warmth of the dish was perfect for chilly nights. It was a great way to make a small amount of meat go a long way, and the leftovers could be reused in sandwiches or pies. Beef stew became a symbol of resourcefulness and practicality, as it was an affordable meal that offered comfort and nutrition. Even today, it's a favorite for many, reminding us of the importance of creating something hearty from simple ingredients. Egg and chips was a simple yet satisfying meal that could be whipped up with just a few ingredients. The eggs were fried to your liking, and the chips were typically made from peeled, sliced potatoes that were fried until golden and crispy. This meal was often served with a dollop of tomato ketchup and was a cheap and quick dinner option for many families. It became popular during times when meat was expensive and difficult to come by. Despite its simplicity, egg and chips provided protein and carbohydrates, making it a hearty meal that could feed the whole family. Bangers and mash is one of the most iconic British dishes, especially during the 20th century. It consists of sausages, often called bangers, and mashed potatoes. The sausages were affordable and could be stretched over a large meal. Served with a rich onion gravy, bangers and mash provided a filling meal that was easy to prepare and cheap to make. This dish is a nostalgic comfort food that has stood the test of time, and it remains a favorite in pubs and homes across the UK. It's the ultimate example of making the most of simple ingredients. Rice pudding was a common dessert made from inexpensive ingredients that could feed a family. Rice was boiled with milk and sugar until it formed a thick, creamy pudding. Some variations added a sprinkle of nutmeg or a spoonful of jam for extra flavor. This dessert was not only cheap, but also comforting, offering warmth during colder months. It could easily be made in large quantities, making it ideal for feeding several mouths. Today, rice pudding remains a nostalgic dish, reminding many of simpler times and the joy of a homemade dessert. Bread and butter pudding was another dessert that made use of stale bread. Slices of bread were buttered and layered in a dish, then soaked in a mixture of milk, sugar, and eggs, before being baked until golden and crispy. Raisins or currants were often added for a touch of sweetness. This dish was an excellent way to use up leftover bread, making it both economical and delicious. Bread and butter pudding became a favorite way to end a meal, turning simple pantry staples into a comforting, sweet treat. Peas pudding is an old-fashioned British dish made from split yellow peas. The peas were boiled with a ham bone or salted pork, creating a thick, savory pudding that could be eaten hot or cold. Peas pudding was often served with bread or alongside cold cuts of meat, providing a cheap and filling meal. The peas were inexpensive and full of nutrients, making this dish a popular choice for families during tough times. It was not only economical but also nutritious, providing essential protein and fiber. Pork scratchings were a traditional snack that became particularly popular during times when the entire pig was used, and nothing went to waste. The dish was made from the skin of the pig, which was deep-fried until it became golden, crispy, and incredibly crunchy. Once fried, the pork scratchings were salted and enjoyed as a savory snack or served alongside a hearty meal. Though they might seem a bit indulgent by today's standards, pork scratchings were an economical way to make use of every part of the pig. They were often served at pubs, where they paired perfectly with a pint of beer and became a beloved part of British pub culture. In times of scarcity, this snack was an affordable and filling treat, providing protein and fat in a deliciously crispy form. Today, pork scratchings remain a nostalgic pub favorite, evoking memories of simpler times and hearty meals shared with friends. Shepherd's pie is a hearty, comforting dish that has been a family favorite across the UK for generations. Traditionally made with minced lamb, though beef is often used, it's combined with vegetables like peas, carrots, and onions, creating a savory base. The dish is topped with a generous layer of mashed potatoes and baked until golden and crispy on top. Shepherd's pie was a great way to use up leftover meat and mashed potatoes, turning them into a filling meal. During times when meat was expensive and scarce, this dish provided a nutritious and affordable way to feed the family. Even today, it remains a beloved British classic, often served with a side of gravy. Its versatility and heartiness make it a perfect choice for any family meal, and it's still a go-to comfort food on chilly days. Steak and kidney pie is a classic British dish that uses inexpensive cuts of beef and kidneys, slow-cooked in a rich, savory gravy and encased in a buttery, flaky pastry. The slow-cooked filling ensures the tough cuts of meat are tender and full of flavor, while the gravy adds richness and depth. This pie became popular during times of economic hardship, as it was a way to stretch cheaper ingredients into a satisfying and comforting meal. Served hot, often with mashed potatoes and vegetables, steak and kidney pie provided a hearty, filling dish that could feed a family without breaking the bank. Today, it remains a British institution, loved for its warm, hearty flavors and comforting appeal, and it continues to be a regular feature on pub menus and family dinner tables. Cottage pie, similar to shepherd's pie, is a traditional British meal made with minced beef instead of lamb. The beef is cooked with vegetables like onions, peas, and carrots, creating a savory, rich filling. It is then topped with creamy mashed potatoes and baked until the top is golden and crispy. Cottage pie was a great way to make a small amount of meat stretch further, making it an economical choice for families during tough times. The dish remains a comforting and satisfying meal that's easy to prepare, making it perfect for feeding a large family on a tight budget. It's a prime example of British ingenuity in the kitchen, showing that you can create something delicious and filling even with simple, low-cost ingredients. Porridge was a staple breakfast dish in many British households, especially during times of economic hardship. Made from oats and water, or milk, when available, it provided a warm, filling start to the day without costing much. Porridge is highly nutritious, offering a good source of fiber and slow-releasing energy, making it ideal for keeping people full throughout the morning. Families could add sugar, honey, or fruit to flavor the porridge, but even without these extras, it remained an affordable and satisfying meal. During the winter months, porridge was a go-to dish for its warming qualities, and it continues to be a popular choice today, especially during the colder months. Its simplicity and nutritional value make it a timeless British comfort food. Mince pies are a quintessentially British treat, particularly around Christmas time. Made from a rich filling of dried fruits, spices, and sometimes a splash of brandy, the mince mixture is placed into small pastry cases and baked until golden. Mince pies were traditionally a way to make use of preserved fruits and spices that were stored throughout the year, making them both economical and delicious. They were a festive favorite during the winter months, often served with a cup of tea. Their small size made them perfect for sharing, and the aroma of freshly baked mince pies remains one of the comforting scents of the holiday season. Even today, they remain a symbol of British festive traditions, evoking nostalgia and warmth for many. Jam roly-poly is a nostalgic British dessert that became a comfort food for many families during times of scarcity. The dessert is made by spreading jam onto suet pastry, then rolling it up and steaming or baking it. The result is a warm, sweet treat with a slightly crispy exterior and a jam-filled center. Jam roly-poly is an economical dessert that uses basic ingredients like flour, suet, and jam, which were easy to come by even during tough times. Despite its simplicity, it provided a comforting and satisfying way to end a meal. Today, jam roly-poly remains a classic British dessert, evoking memories of family meals and offering a warm, sweet conclusion to any dinner. Hasty pudding is a traditional British dessert that was popular during times of austerity. Made from a simple mixture of flour, milk, and sugar, it was cooked quickly and served warm. Often flavored with spices like nutmeg or cinnamon, hasty pudding provided a comforting sweet treat when ingredients were scarce. It was an affordable dessert that didn't require many ingredients, making it a go-to choice for families on tight budgets. Sometimes it was served with a dollop of jam or syrup to add extra sweetness. Hasty pudding became a symbol of resourcefulness and simplicity, showing that you could still create a delicious dessert from humble ingredients. Baked beans on toast is a classic British meal that has become a staple in many households. Made from a tin of baked beans in tomato sauce, the beans are served over slices of buttered toast, making for a simple, filling, and affordable meal. It's a quick and easy dish that doesn't require much preparation, making it perfect for busy families. Baked beans are a good source of protein and carbohydrates, and when served on toast, they offer a balanced meal that is satisfying and comforting. Baked beans on toast became particularly popular during times when meat was expensive and hard to come by, but it remains a beloved dish in the UK, often enjoyed for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. The Sunday roast has been a British tradition for centuries, and it continues to be a much-loved meal across the UK. Traditionally, it consists of a joint of meat, usually beef, chicken, or pork, served with roast potatoes, vegetables, and gravy. While the choice of meat may have been limited during times of financial hardship, the Sunday roast was a meal that brought the family together, offering both comfort and nourishment. The leftovers from the roast were often used in soups, pies, or sandwiches throughout the week, ensuring that nothing went to waste. This tradition of resourcefulness and family togetherness has remained at the heart of British dining, making the Sunday roast a symbol of comfort and celebration. These meals aren't just food, they're a slice of history and a reminder of how our grandparents made the most of what they had. Which of these classic cheap meals brings back memories for you? Or maybe there's a dish you remember from your own family kitchen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories.